All right, guys, you're welcome to yet another episode on our special AFCON show on Football Buffet. Oluwatobi is my name, or Footy Tobes, and we have the regulars on the show as well. But today we have a special guest on the show. We have Austin, who is an international sport broadcaster on the show. He's going to be joining us today to dissect all things AFCON 2023 as it pertains to the Super Eagles. Today on the show, we are going to be discussing quite a number of things. I know a lot of Nigerians are happy. We won the game against Ivory Coast against all odds. I know that our predictions here, Paul predicted that Nigeria was going to lose. Toby also predicted that Nigeria was going to lose. But I predicted Nigeria was not going to lose, but I didn't say we were going to win. So everyone is excited. We got the win. So we are going to be talking about that match in terms of the tactical setup of the coach. We're also going to be talking about some of the performance of the players. And then we talk about the match against Guinea Bissau, which is coming very soon, right? So I'm going to start with you, Toby. You pride yourself to be a UEFA licensed coach. If you look at the setup of Jose Pacero in that game, we played a 3-4-3 against all odds. Everyone was expecting the usual bland 4-4-2 formation, which Jose Pacero is very familiarized with, right? But it went different and against all odds, and he gave us a different formation. In terms of the setup of that team that day, what are the things that you think we did right? What are the things the players did right, and the overall performance of the players in that game? What are you expecting? What do you think?
Against Ivory Coast, the host Toby shocked me to my bone marrow when I saw the lineup and tactical setup, the way the boys interpreted it perfectly. Like you said, he set up in a 3-4-3 formation possession, but out of possession it was a 5-4-1 because the two wingers, which was Chukwueze and Ademola Lookman, they were always coming in deep into midfield to make it a former midfield, where the wing backs Olaino and Zaidu Sanusi, they were always talking in to join the centre backs and making a back five. So we're very compact in the middle of the park, and it was a low block because the line was not high at all. The three-man defense of Truss Ekong, Calvin Bassi, and Semi Ajayi, they were always very deep. Also with the wing backs as well coming back to the now and time again. So it was a 5-4-1 out of possession, and it was a mid press. If you notice in the game, there was no high press. You wouldn't find Chukwueze or Ademola Lookman trying to win the ball high up the field. Rather, they would drop back into midfield and make it difficult for the Ivorians to break us down. The Ivorians also changed their shape going into the game, surprisingly, because in the first setup in the mission with the Boga, Kraso, and Jonathan Bamba in there. But against Nigeria, they dropped Bamba to the bench and played the man from Fiorentina. And it looked a lot of times like it was a 4-4-2 with Seko Fofana always staying out wide to attack. In the game, we were able to limit the Ivorians to long shots because they were not unable to break down the five-man defense of Nigeria. And I was really impressed, all through the game. Though we had only one shot on target, it was a penalty scored by Prostekon, and it was a rocket of a shot. He pelted that down straight and the goalkeeper had no chance. 1-0 Nigeria to be, and that's what matters.
The goalkeeper had no chance. You are right there. So I'm going to come to you, Paul. Right, in terms of the performance of the Super Eagles players, which players stood out for you in terms of performance? Some people have said Olaino had his best game in the green jersey on that day. Looking at the overall performance of all of the players, which one of the players stood out for you?
Yeah, I think the standout player for me was Calvin Bassey. Calvin Bassey did very well. He started the first game, and I was wondering why exactly he didn't do that. Started the second game, and he was very good. Started as a left wing back, left full back in that particular, was left centre back. Eventually played as a left wing back in the second half and did so well. Whenever he went forward, he was very good. Defensively, he was very compact. In the second half, after Nigeria scored the penalty, were on the back foot, and he kept on doing well, did well defensively, nullified the threats of the players, the Ivorians on the flank, and even when he was in the center of defense, nullified the threats of the Ivorians. It was very good. Basically, my man of the match. Unfortunately, he wasn't given the award, but for me, from what I saw over 90 minutes, Calvin Bassey was the best player for the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
So you say Calvin Bassey, right? Interesting to know. So Austin, I know that before the tournament started, you had low expectations for the Super Eagles. Were you surprised at the result against Ivory Coast?
No, against Ivory Coast, I wasn't surprised because they were pushed to the wall. They needed to respond. It wasn't the sort of result they wanted in the opener against Equatorial Guinea. And with the way Nigerians came at them, now they had no choice to just go out there and do something. And Toby, people have come to me to say, oh, some have attacked me, some have said, oh, Asti, you're not patriotic as you used to be. And I said, it's all about results. You must show workings. From
Show
when
working.
they failed to qualify for the World Cup to the friendly matches, and then the qualifiers just confirmed everything. The friendly matches against Saudi Arabia, they were expected to win. They didn't win. They went on to play Mozambique. They were expected to win. They didn't win. You play Lesotho, and you cannot win after having that sort of result in those friendlies. And then you play Zimbabwe and you still don't win. Now they're going to the AFCON, and I'm saying, I always tell people, if you're going to a competition, forget everything that you've done, go back and review the way you did at the last edition. And I looked at the last edition, and I concluded that even Comoros was better than Nigeria. Ask me why. Comoros made it to the quarterfinals. Equatorial Guinea was better than Nigeria. They made it to the quarterfinals. So when I was saying the things I was saying, I was challenging the team. I was letting them know that, look, it's time to start showing workings if we are talking about the AFCON and Comoros. I'm from Akwa Ibom. We are more in Akwa Ibom than Comoros. If Comoros can make to the quarterfinals, then it's a big shame, And people didn't just get what I was trying to say. I was saying that, look, people are going back to work on their football because they can see that the so-called big giants of West Africa, they're not doing well. See Nigeria, see Ghana. It's quite disgraceful. So no regrets that my expectations were low. If you ask me, I say, go show me the results. I'm not saying workings. I challenged most of the players. I called out William Troost-Ekong. They are my guys. I called out Alex Iwobi. Alex Iwobi is 27, Oluwatobi, and is close to 100 caps for Nigeria. Do you know what it means to play 100 times for your country? He needs to start showing working. This is the prime. I don't even think his uncle, with all the history, also Nigeria played up to 100 matches. And Alex Iwobi can still go on till the next 5 years. When are we going to see workings? That's what I was saying, and that's why I said, look, at this AFCON, I'm going to take it one step at a time. But no surprises. They needed to respond against Cote d'Ivoire. It was one chance. They took it, and the win is very important.
Yeah, I think you have a point there, but some people who have a contrary opinion, right? I mean, people who have followed the Super Eagles closely over the years, they will tell you we always shine in AFCON when the expectations are very low. If you remember back in '94, Westerhoff had all of this pressure going into the AFCON 1994. If he was just going to go there to win or leave. The same scenario now we have with Jose Pacero. He's been given a mandate to bring back the AFCON or he leaves. And we had something similar with 2013, if you remember. Stephen Keshi also, against all odds, when the expectations were low, he went all the way. So some fans are saying maybe we might be having that kind of scenario where the Super Eagles goes all the way, but we cannot see the workings, like you have said. What are your reactions to that?
Bro, I keep telling people when they're talking about the history of Nigerian football, they should go back. From Algiers 90, we were very decent as a team. We took that same team to Senegal 92. We were still decent. At Tunisia 94, majority of the guys from Algiers 90 were already ripe. They were in their prime. To even make the team at that time was what you would sweat. There were good players who couldn't make that team. So at Tunisia 94, it was time to show workings. Let's leave 94. That's the golden era. If we start calling names now, people wouldn't follow football at that period. Go and start doing their research and they'll be worried. Let's stay with 2013 that everyone is always calling. Everyone say, Coach Stephen Keshi, God bless his soul, picked players that were not that good and went on to win. Lie. He went to that AFCON with 19 debutants. 19. Do you know what it means to take 19 young guys to a competition? And out of the 19 debutants, 7 were from the league. Let's bring it down to our today's problem in the Super Eagles midfield. Let's just compare what we had in 2013 as midfield. John Obi Mikel, Ogenyi Onazi, Sunday Mba, Nosa Igebo, Fego Ogude, Obiora Nwankwo, and Ruben Gabriel. Top midfielders. Quality. And these are guys that at the time, they were burning, they had burning passion. Ogenyi Onazi was in Team B at Lazio. He wanted to make an impression. Sunday Mba was roving between Rangers and Warri Wolves and had an opportunity to go and die and impress or being called up to the AFCON. He went there and he showed workings. Fego Ogude was my most valued defensive midfielder in Nigeria at that time. He couldn't play. Obiora Nwankwo was as skillful as anybody you can think of in this current Super Eagles squad. He had a deadly left foot. He could pick the passes. He was creative. He couldn't play. You can't compare. What do we have here now? We have Alex Iwobi that will always depend on. We have Joe Aribo in midfield. We have, and you see, when I talk, people don't just understand. Shame to the NFF and our scouting system. So Alassane Yusuf was that good, and all the while it was being ignored. If you had told that guy and he has been playing with the team, each time Wilfred Ndidi is missing, we wouldn't have had problems. The guy would have blended into the team. It tells you that somebody was purposefully looking away, deliberately. So we've been saying midfield, problem. This guy would have come in and would say, we will work you to be standard defensive midfielder. Nobody has come to explain to us where Oganeka Retebo is till tomorrow. And that was the guy we were thinking would have the work rate of a box-to-box defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with Nigerian football. So I had to do this so that when people come out and say, oh, 1994 was so good, 2000 it was so good, 2013 it was so good, then we had system. Then if you call a player from the league was fairly good. What's the state of the league now? In 2013, when Stephen Keshi picked those boys, I was privileged to work with him. He talks to me a lot. He was going to see league matches, was consistent. In Nigeria, in the last 4 years, how many complete league seasons have they had? Abridged seasons. If you, Toby, you are a coach, would you go and pick a player that played only 12 league matches to come and represent your team? These are the issues. They are not solving these issues, and we just think that we'll just jump up and play. I have a friend in Cape Verde. Cape Verde, they have their national team now in the national budget. They carry them for head. They are 12th in Africa now. By the time this AFCON ends with the way they are going, they'll probably get into the top 5. Because last edition, they made it to the quarterfinals. This year, they're already beating people, making records. It's what you sow. It's what you sow, you reap. It's as simple as that.
I think you're spot on there. Yeah. And talking about Cape Verde that you just mentioned, it looks like there's a new trend with this AFCON 2023, right? We've seen Cape Verde, we've seen Burkina Faso, we've seen Equatorial Guinea, also Namibia and Angola, Guinea. These are teams that begin to look like they can compete. Do you think this is the year of the underdogs? I'll start with Toby.
It's looking like it. It's looking like there's a seismic shift in African football, and the powerhouses that we grew up to know are no longer what they used to be. And it all goes to the same issues that Austin raised earlier about African teams not doing the right thing, not investing well in the sports. You know, those that feel that they don't have the talent, they are the ones that are doing the right things. The likes of Cape Verde, Comoros, saw them the last AFCON. You know, these little nations, they're really investing. You know, and very soon it looks like they're overtaking the powerhouses, you know, except for Senegal, obviously, who seem to be getting it right in their football, you know, doing well in the 8K, doing well in the female football as well. Senegal seems to be getting right, but beyond that, the likes of Cameroon, the likes of Nigeria, Ghana, they've just fallen down the pecking order. You know, even Nigeria are struggling, Egypt are struggling. It just goes to show you that if you don't keep building and keep investing on the talent base that you have, you're just going to fall behind. And these little teams will overtake you. I think I have to give kudos to these teams. They've done well. And in this current AFCON, we've seen it. Cape Verde have qualified already in a group that had Egypt and is it not Cameroon? You know, who will have expected that to. It just
Ghana.
shows that it just shows that the things are really changing, in African football right now.
Yeah, but Paul, do you think any of these teams can actually go all the way to win? Do you think maybe when it gets to the semifinals, you separate the boys from the men?
Yeah, basically, I'm going to go with what Austin said earlier about some of the top sides dropping the ball and the top side, the other sides closing in on them. For me, I don't think Burkina Faso going into any African Cup of Nations are an underdog. They were in the semifinals last time out. Most times when they qualify from the group stages, they get down to the quarterfinals or the semifinals. So Burkina Faso, the Stallions, I don't think you call them an underdog. Also for Cape Verde, last time they got to the round of 16, they were knocked out by the eventual champions, Senegal. So the Blue Sharks of Cape Verde, for me personally, not surprised with what I've seen from them. The last 3 years, they have been very good. If they have the rub of the green when it comes to pairings in the knockout phases, they could go all the way as well. Guinea as well, over the years, we've seen top players from the Guinean national team. So not so surprised with what Guinea has done so far. So I'm not going to really lean towards this underdog tag at the African Cup of Nations, because some of these sides we are calling top dogs in quotes are not even at the level they used to be years ago. The Black Stars of Ghana have been struggling for years. Last time out, they didn't qualify from the group stages at the African Cup of Nations. How sure are we that they will qualify this time around? The last time they won an African Cup of Nations game is over 8 or 9 games ago, something like that. So they've been struggling for Ghana. The Super Eagles of Nigeria were knocked out in the round of 16 of the last Nations Cup. Tunisia were knocked out in the quarterfinals of the last Nations Cup by Burkina Faso. So some of these sides, Algeria were dumped out of the competition in the round group stage last African Cup of Nations. Equatorial Guinea got to the quarterfinals at the last Nations Cup. So if you look at these teams, they are not really underdogs like that. They might not be the big boys in quotes, but they have quality as well. And I think when it comes to the so-called big boys and the lesser teams, I think the gap has become very close in the last couple of years. So for me, not surprised. And it may be one of these top guys, one of these underdogs in quotes, that might give Senegal the run for their money for the title. Like I said, Morocco, Nigeria, I think they are pretenders for this cup.
Oh, even Morocco?
Really? I said it in our first episode. I said I don't rate Morocco. Yeah. I don't rate Morocco.
But I don't think they can go all the way because this is African football. It's always very different and
yeah. So I saw them watching the African qualifiers. They lost in Johannesburg to South Africa. I saw that game and they struggled. In a couple of other qualifiers, they have struggled. But for Morocco, yes, they did well at the World Cup. But I think that has flattered to deceive a lot of football fans. I don't think they are all that.
Oh yeah, but they seem to be doing something right. If you look at their 8th grade football as well, for Morocco, they're really doing very well. So it looks like
there's a structure. The structure is there. The structure is there. It has trickled down to their women's football as well. Doing well with women's football. The under-20 team has qualified for the World Cup. The women's team got to the World Cup, got to the knockout stages in the first appearance at the Women's World Cup. So the structure is there. Club football is good over there in Morocco. Everything is working well. But at this point in time, under their coach, do they have that quality in that squad to win the first African Cup of Nations as far back? The last time they won it was 1978. I don't see them winning it again.
Yeah, let's wait and see. But don't forget, you have your predictions, right? Your prediction says Senegal is going to go all the way.
I'm sticking with Senegal.
Toby said Senegal is going to go all the way. No, Toby said Morocco. You said Senegal. So we are still there.
I'm sticking with Senegal.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I'll go with you in terms of Senegal. But if Nigeria gets lucky, we might win it. I know Austin wants to laugh at me now.
I told you, bro, that there's nothing like luck anymore. You need to show workings. They showed working against Cote d'Ivoire and they got the results,
They can continue to do working now.
Yeah, that's the point, you see, because that's what we said, that because it had got to the stage where they said if they draw that game or they lose it, then AFCON is all over for them, because they had everything to win the first game against Equatorial Guinea, but they weren't daring enough. They didn't play or come out with the sort of tactics that we saw against Cote d'Ivoire. So with football, you need to just play purposeful football. See Egypt at the last AFCON. They started with Nigeria. The Egyptians weren't bad, but we just won that game. And the moment we won that game, it snapped something in them that, we didn't do like this, we didn't do like that. And Egypt went to the final. Take it to the World Cup. Same thing happened with Argentina. Saudi Arabia. The world is laughing at us. What did we not do right? Argentina went on to win it. It just goes to tell you that at every level, you must respect that tactics, that style that you are known for. But just to come back to the underdog conversation, I think it's beyond Africa. I've been saying this on my TV show in the last 4 years, but people didn't just want to listen. I'm the guy who loves oddity. And I tell people that in the last 4 years, there's been a new world order. The small teams came together and say, stop the bullying. Like, it's no joke. Check Europe. You see North Macedonia beating Italy, beating Netherlands. How is that happening? At the Asian Cup 2 days ago, Iraq defeated Japan. Iraq defeated Japan. It's a new world order, you know. I was telling somebody, and I totally agree with Paul. I understand where it's coming from with Morocco. Look at Morocco today. Got an opening goal. Hakimi scored in the 6th minute. You'd expect them to, and that's Morocco. When they soak pressure on you, they go all the way. But DR Congo took over the game the moment they scored. Remember, that was what happened with Egypt too in their opening game, that they almost lost the Mambas of Mozambique. They scored first. Mozambique watched them. Now you see, it's shifting. We know these North Africans, they play the sort of football that is akin to what we see in Europe. They play the fast pace. They know how to go into spaces because they've got good infrastructure. That's another thing CAF must work. Why they suffer is because when they come to competitions in West Africa, the pitch isn't to standard. That's the first problem these North African teams suffered. So they can't time it. Toby is a coach. You understand what I mean? When these players touch the ball, they time the running. When they run between cones, that's what they do. They know when to go into space to pick it. See that chance that Victor Osimhen missed against Cote d'Ivoire, that he ran, the through ball that Chukwueze gave to him. Go and watch it again. Because of a bad pitch, it's like we call it contour back then at home. The ball bounced before Osimhen kicked it. So it's like
Yeah, there
something
was an
touched
awkward
it.
bounce.
It was an awkward bounce. So it killed his timing. It killed the speed he had to take the ball, and that's why the ball went over.
Yeah.
You get, it's
Yeah,
a
sure.
problem until we fix infrastructure problems in Africa. We will not see beautiful football, and that's why Morocco is struggling to win. At the time Egypt was winning, check where they were going to play most of the time. Infrastructure was top notch. Same thing with when Algeria was doing well. Infrastructure was a thing. When Algeria won, it was in Egypt, yeah? When they
Yeah.
beat us in 2019. Yeah, it was in Egypt. Top infrastructure, everything. They played the best football. Algeria, at the last edition in Cameroon, finished 4th, bottom, and they're likely to still crash out same way because they don't understand. Now you fight with climate condition, you fight with bad pitch, you fight with a lot of things. Now, if you bring it back to why the smaller teams are doing well in Africa, Comoros, Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso lost their opening game at the last edition to Cameroon. They still played the third round, the third place match with Cameroon. You remember?
Yeah.
They still went all the way. Burkina Faso played final with Nigeria in 2013.
Yeah.
And since that time till now, they've not looked back. It means they are doing something for their football. They are doing something, they like what they are doing, and so they've kept up with it. We in Nigeria were using big name, and that's what is affecting us. I told you about Cape Verde, how it's a national assignment, and that's why they're doing well. I told you about Gambia. It's just rather unfortunate. I told someone that what happened with Gambia before they got to Cote d'Ivoire was going to affect their their AFCON, and it did. You know, because when you go into some competition, psychologically you want to be sound. All of those mishaps that happened with the plane going back, all of those things, psychologically they were not in it. Gambia was a decent team last time out. Why is this good for Africa football? It is good because you'll find out that these small teams that are doing well, they don't have problems with their FA. Namibia, Mozambique, Comoros, Cape Verde. Last year, we even talked about Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone got us talking, remember? Equatorial Guinea. Because their FA is focused on just developing football. But in the big West African countries, Nigeria, you must fight the FA to be able to have influence. Ghana, same thing. Cameroon, there's a big war going on between Samuel Eto'o and Rigobert Song. How will they do well? Check these North African teams. They will never ever bring their problems outside because their governments carry the football as national assignment. Morocco is doing what everybody's shouting. The king took it as national during COVID. 60% of the budget went to developing football in Morocco. He said the women will reach the AFCON final. They did. Lost it by chance to South Africa. He said they will qualify for the World Cup for the first time. They did. He said the men, is about time they also start having relevance. He didn't even say in the world. He said in North Africa. Morocco went to the semi-finals. Again, it brings me back to that. It is what you sow, you reap.
Yeah, good one there. And talking about the smaller teams in quotes, catching up with the bigger teams. If you guys remember, only recently Guinea-Bissau came to Abuja and shocked us. They got a 1-0 win against Nigeria, and we played them again in this third match, which everybody's tagged a dead rubber. But Toby, looking at that game, do you think we should expect a shocker, or do you think the Super Eagles will be booming with a lot of confidence going into that game?
I feel the win against Ivory Coast is a huge morale booster. If I was Pafero, I honestly be rotating the squad against Guinea-Bissau. Bringing those boys that have not gotten enough minutes in the AFCON so far. Let them show what they can do. Let them go and die on the pitch, and then so that they can get your 3 points against Guinea-Bissau. Expecting to have a more attacking setup against Guinea-Bissau, probably the 4-3-3 or the 4-4-2. Bringing someone like Ian Achor that has not had enough minutes, bringing back of Sai Samuel, just bringing Bruno Yemachi into the left back position. Let Kenneth Omeru get a start. Just rejig it, bring in Paul Onachu, let Osimhen come in from the bench. Rejig something, and I'm sure it will be easier than you think. But if you keep sticking to the same guys, they could just be too over relaxed, too like a and they might still be waxing about the last result. So rejig it, bring in new faces, and tell them, hey, this is an audition for you. How well you perform is going to be it's going to be your chance to get a starting share.
Audition, but 3 points there at stake.
Yeah, of course. And the team, because they can play,
Okay.
if enough to play, then why are they not in the 25-man list? So he has to be able to rotate them, and bring that bit of fire into the team, and then they get 3 points or at least a draw, and you show into the second round. A draw is enough for us.
Yeah. So Paul, I know that you followed the presser. Can you give us updates from the presser of the Super Eagles in preparation for this game?
Yeah, going into the game against Guinea-Bissau, Jose Pizarro talked about Alassane. He said he hasn't started training with the team, so he's out for the game against Guinea-Bissau. So Alassane hasn't recovered. He's not going to be available for the Super Eagles for that game against Guinea-Bissau. So another big blow. Basically, Leslie will just have to stick with what we have, the midfielders we have going into the game against the Jutus of Guinea-Bissau. Also, he talked about different approach for this particular game. When he was asked about the approach, is it going to be the same approach he deployed in the game against Cote d'Ivoire, against Guinea-Bissau? I said different team, different approach. So maybe different formation and different personnel going into the game. But I just have to chip in that I don't agree with Toby. It's a must-win game. We need 7 points. We need to be looking at topping the group. So we stick with the key players. The players on the bench, I don't think they are good enough to start. The ones that can start maybe coming, but tweaking the squad, resting Victor Osimhen for this game, no, hell no. Victor Osimhen should be starting, Calvin Bassey should be starting, Iwobi should be starting, Chukwueze and the like should be starting. It's a must-win game. Well, not guaranteed of qualification yet. We could end up finishing third. Finishing third doesn't take us somewhere good when it comes to the round of 16. So we should be targeting topping the group, winning the game and hoping the game between Equatorial Guinea and the Super Eagles of and the Ivorians rather go in our favor. So we should be going all out to win the game when it comes to the Super Eagles of that. And for the press conference, Jose Pizarro also talked about focusing at this point in time to try as much as possible to get the result. He was asked about Ahmed Musa if he's going to get to play tomorrow because it could be the last game. It could be the last game for the Super Eagles in this particular edition of the African Cup of Nations. And he said, no. It's not. The game is not going to be our last game. And when eventually Ahmed Musa will have his time to play for the Super Eagles, let's focus on getting the result. So at this point in time, it's all about focusing on getting the result for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So that's just it. And for Basiro Kande, the coach of Guinea-Bissau, they said they are not out yet. They'll be going into this game looking to win against the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Yeah, you talked about getting the full points there, right? 7 points. And guys, I checked the path to the final, right? And I think that Nigeria is going to be better off not finishing top of this group. So I'm going to leave it open to you guys. So if we finish top in Group A, we play the third place in Group C, D, or E, which can be at the moment.
Or E, yeah.
Yeah, we can be Cameroon, Algeria, or Tunisia, going by the way the results are currently. If we finish second, we play Group C second place, which is looking like Guinea, because Guinea they are looking like they're going to finish second on that in that group. But if we play as the third place team, as the best loser, we would be facing the Cape Verde. So looking at those three parts, what would you rather have? I'll start with Austin.
At this sort of competition, you want to sustain momentum. You want to keep the right mentality. And I think that now, with what they did against Cote d'Ivoire, mentally, they're in the right place. Mentally. Because nothing like knowing that you've made your fans happy. We haven't felt that way in a very long time. So if they top the group, do not forget that you're as good as your last match also. Because now your opponents, they have what to go and study. So you win big, it heightens their fear. You go and finish second, it might still change. And then that momentum you build from beating Cote d'Ivoire is now low. Because whether or not we like it, search engine optimization is now a thing. It messes with you mentally when you go online and try to just check your name and you see the sort of mentions you are getting. So the players just go type Super Eagles and everything they are reading just breaks their heart. You go to social media, all your mentions, people are insulting you. It's not good, And in Nigeria, we just love to win. Now, do you know why people didn't really take what happened at the last edition to heart? They liked the fact that we had just chased Gennett Raw and we went on to win 3 group matches that we have not done in a very long time. Now, against Tunisia, they're like, okay, no problem. Osteguava is new to the team. Let's come back, regroup, and go to the World Cup. That's Nigerians. We just love to win. Those countries that you've mentioned, if they meet Nigeria, the distraction, the fear that they are meeting Nigeria alone, they've started losing. But the fact that you're not in second, yes.
If we beat us the last time.
That's the point. You see? We are not in the same place, particularly if we go and beat Guinea Bissau like 3-0 and you top the group. You see now that it has changed. Tunisia, we come in there with that same mentality. Don't even forget. I don't just want to say luck. We were unfortunate in that game against Tunisia. The red card to Iwobi was unfortunate because the game was tied around him. General loves Iwobi a lot. He does so much with Iwobi that he makes him rove. Iwobi just have a nice time under General. And then that happened. So the man was just, Austin Eguavoen was just bereft of ideas. Because what he did was he inherited General's pros and cons, particularly all his problems. So, and he had limited time to start experimenting. Jose Pizarro has got time now to experiment. I'd love to see, as Toby said, what can he do with Ralph Onyedika if he plays him against Guinea-Bissau? Frank Onyeka needs to rest. Let's see what he can do if he plays Kenneth Omeruo with maybe Calvin Bassey at the back. We've now seen Zaidu and Olaino and how they overlap. Let's see someone else that will sit back and maybe throw long passes. It shows a lot. I like what Paul Onuachu did when he came. Hold the play, be able to beat one player, drag your defenders, and then leave one man free to just play a pass. Let's see more of Paul Onuachu. When you do this, you make your opponent start wondering. What confused the Ivorians was just a simple Calvin Bassey being played out of position. What's he going to be doing? Yeah, they don't know. They don't know what he's going to be doing. But then Pizarro just wanted it tight at the back. And then that gave so much room for Zeju to go forward, for Lai not to go forward. And William Trusteko was at his best.
Yeah.
He did not lose one ball. He was good in the air. That's what it takes for everybody to be at their best. Then the Super Eagles can be playing better. So I think winning is everything. To keep the right mentality, to sustain your momentum, you need to keep winning.
Yeah, that's spot on there. So I'm guys, I'm going to be taking your final thoughts and predictions. I know for the first game, Paul was the octopus Paul. It was spot on with his prediction. He said Nigeria was going to finish. I think he said it was going to be a 1-1 draw,
1-1 draw.
and that was spot
1-1
on.
draw.
But Toby said Nigeria was going to win. We didn't win. So the second one, we all missed it, except for me. I said we're not going to lose, but I got the scores wrong, right? So I'm going to start with you, Paul, in terms of your final thoughts and then your predictions for this game.
Yeah, final thought going into the game. I'm still going to insist on we play with that. We start our best 11, go all out to win, regardless of who we play in the round of 16. Go out to win. If we're going to win the competition, if Nigeria is going to win the competition, they will have to play the top sides. No need to avoid anyone. Play any side and get the win. So that's for me. But the game itself against the duties of Guinea-Bissau, I've seen them play. Defensively, they are not all that. I think Super Eagles attack. If we go on attack, create chances, we should be able to get goals. So I'm going with Nigeria to win 3 goals to nil.
3 goals to nil. That's very adventurous.
Yeah, 3 goals to
you.
nil for Nigeria.
Wow.
Yeah.
Toby, your final thoughts and predictions.
Yeah, Toby, it's been a great show. For me, I feel I would rest a few players going into the game. I will rotate it here and there depending on how they keep playing training. But I definitely won't go with the same set of expected lineup, same players. I'll go for a more attacking formation, maybe a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, or something along that variation. I would rest Osimhen. I saw he came up in the last game. He had eyes tied to his leg. I would rest Osimhen. I'll be completely honest. I'll play Onato up front. Give him the encouragement. Let him know that he can do it. Kyle Murphy is still on the bench. Don't forget, guys. He's not even had any minutes in the competition. You know, these are guys that we should encourage. We call them up because they can play. So I would make changes. Personally, I feel we have more than enough to beat Guinea-Bissau. I expect the coaching crew to have studied their games against Ivory Coast and Equatorial Guinea. They were able to identify those weaknesses in the team. We have a stronger mentality right now. Having just defeated the host, of course, but I expect us to go straight into the game to defeat Guinea-Bissau 2-0 minimum for me, and I think 2-0 for me against Guinea. Yes,
African footballer of the year. All right, what about you, Austin? Your final thoughts and prediction for the game.
I'll stay in line with Toby. You know, let's see more. We said it that there's so much, firepower in this team. And if they are, showing the hunger, saying that let's do it again. They started the campaign, so let's see the other guys who are in the team. I would definitely rest him because he has really worked. I'll rest Calvin Bassey. I'll rest Frank the Tank. Let some other people in midfield. I'd like to see more of Joe Aribo. I think he might just come in and give us that creative edge that we've been missing. I'll sit Alexi Wobi on the bench. And this I say because if we beat Guinea-Bissau in the round of 16, it will worry our opponents because now they don't know what we are coming out with because of the options that we have displayed. So that said, I still feel the defense is shaky. I think Guinea-Bissau will come out as wounded lions, just so they can get something. So it will be Super Eagles 2, Guinea-Bissau 1.
Okay, thank you for that. My prediction would be Nigeria 2, Guinea-Bissau 0, because I think we have a lot of confidence going into that game. And I think we are going to win that game 2-0. Thank you very much, everyone. So I'm going to leave this to the viewers. Please tell us, what are your predictions for that big game? Tell us your scores, and thanks for joining us once again. We come back to you before the game in the round of 16. Hopefully, we don't play Tunisia, Cameroon, and then we'll give All right, guys. It's been nice talking to everyone. Have a great day. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.